Welcome to Campus Insiders. I'm Doug Chapman along with Jordan Cornette. It's Black History Month here at Campus Insiders. As we look at the contributions and the strides the blacks have made at the collegiate level, the big thing that sticks out to me and the glaring thing is there's not a lot of black head coaches. University of Texas hires Charlie Strong recently. Penn State follows suit with James Franklin. Mike London has been at UVA. There's a couple guys that stick out to me. But why do you think overall there's so little black coaches in college sports?
Doug, I think it's simple. I think it starts at the top. It starts with these athletic directors and these university presidents. 89% of the makeup of athletic directors are white. So what does an athletic director do when they're looking for a coach? They look for a guy who's similar in thinking to them, who's apt to make a decision much like they would. Essentially a guy who's like them. Well, if the 89% is white at the AD level, they're most likely going to hire a white coach. And that doesn't have to do with racism. That's human nature. You're going to hire somebody who's an extension of yourself. So it starts at the top in a lack of these athletic directors, which leads towards more white coaches being hired as opposed to minorities.
Yeah, I look at it from that side too. But then you also look at boosters. They have a big say-so in it. And circling back to Charlie Strong, Red McCombs is a big booster down at the University of Texas. He comes out with the hiring of Charlie Strong and says he'd make a great position coach or an assistant, but he's not sure about him being a head coach. Do you think there's a stigma out here that people have, not just boosters, but presidents and ADs, that black coaches can be great recruiters and great position coaches, but not good enough to run the whole show?
I think that's absolutely been the case, Doug. And I think that's why you see so many associate head coaches who are black who don't want to jump up to the head coach spot because they're comfortable making good money at that recruiting slot and they're getting paid well. So there's not necessarily discrimination there because they're getting properly paid. But they're not getting the opportunities that most white coaches are getting because people think they're only good at recruiting. You take a look, there's 5 guys I have a list of that are longtime assistant coaches that have propelled themselves into head coaching jobs, some of them doing better than others. At the top of that list, Shaka Smart at VCU, a longtime assistant coach. Konzo Martin at Purdue for a long time. He's gotten a few head jobs. Now at Tennessee. Gigi Smith, Tubby's son. Tubby Smith, obviously one of the great head coaches who happens to be black. You sit there and you watch these assistant coaches and you root for them to accomplish things because as they succeed, it opens the door for more guys. Kevin Ollie, how about the coach at UConn? Behind Jim Calhoun as an assistant. Jim Calhoun retires. Kevin Ollie, only 2 years of coaching experience, becomes the head coach at UConn, and he's been doing a fantastic job in his second season, arguably maybe the coach of the year in that conference. So you see these guys getting more opportunities. Unfortunately, the window is slim, and they got to do more with less.
Now, the Rooney Rule, which I'm a big fan of in the NFL, it was established in 2003 where teams have to interview a minority candidate for a head coaching position or a senior management position with a team. Do you think the NCAA should adopt the same rule?
Well, I think we've talked about the issues with the Rooney Rule. And, some people are just using it. These GMs and these owners are saying, sure, we'll interview a black coach. Okay, we got that out of the way. Now let's go get who we want, whether it be black or white. But people are using that as just a quota to fill. I don't want that to trickle down to the college game. I think there's ways to do it and ways to do it correctly. Let's call it maybe the Eddie Robinson rule, the great Grambling head coach, or the John Thompson rule, as you mentioned, from Georgetown. But yeah, I think it starts with, as I mentioned, that 89% with these ADs, it starts with getting black head coaches in front of them. These ADs aren't necessarily racist. They're just not comfortable because these people aren't in their circles. You get these black head coaches in front of them, it opens their mind of thinking, it opens that window and says, this guy does think like me. This guy is capable of running my program. And that hesitancy to hire that kind of guy dissipates, goes away. So I think it all starts with implementing that rule, but doing it the right way.
Yeah, I'd be a big fan of seeing it at the college level because it would provide some transparency with the hiring. You hear about coaches getting hired, but you don't know the process. You know the process in the NFL. And we talked about Red McCombs and comments he made. That good old boy network, that good old boy system is live and well still in college sports. If you're a booster with a lot of money, you have influence and power at those schools. What you say goes because people want that money to come in. Red McCombs has been calling the shots there in Austin, Texas for a long, long time. And I think the people in power said, you know what? Take a back seat, Red. We're going to do this our way. I think the Rooney Rule at the collegiate level would definitely provide some transparency, and it would see some things like you see at the NFL level. You know who they're bringing in, and if a black coach or minority coach doesn't get the job, you at least know they were interviewed.
Well, Doug, yeah, I think it all starts with awareness, having the conversation. That's where it starts, identifying that problem, working towards fixing it.
As always, Jordan, it's been great.
Oh, yeah.
Love seeing you up here.
Okay.
Make sure you check out CampusInsiders.com. You can see these two faces 24/7, 365. Okay. Why wouldn't you want to do that?